ましたが、12時半に寝ました。はい。Okay, and that was it. Okay.
I have a question about the language class. So we have until this Thursday to get.
Yes, you have the rest of this week basically. I don't know about Friday because they don't normally
No,
open on
not
Friday.
Friday.
So
But you can do it on Friday in the library, because you could do it.
did you confirm that
I
with
know, but
Alenka?
I can-
Because I know that normally they have on Fridays in the library, but they also need time to calculate everybody's hours for the whole semester and turn all that into the professors by exam time. So they, because of crunch time, they may be putting it off to
Deadline.
Thursday afternoon at closing.
Okay, I was wondering, it's only half an hour.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
I only have
Okay,
like
well,
an
yeah.
hour and a half left.
If you only have a little bit left, just get it done earlier in the week and you'll
I
be
go
fine.
now, I'll go
Yeah,
after
go
this.
today, tomorrow, Thursday, get it over with, and then, you know, you're just better off that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're really gonna have a hard time getting in there between now and Thursday closing, go talk to her about whether or not there are alternatives. But hopefully, everybody's at least close to finishing their hours. How many people are actually done with their hours already? Okay, good. So the people who aren't done yet, hopefully you're close, so it won't be a problem. Okay, so let's look at our textbook now. So let's see. So the question sentences that we were up to was part B on, let's see, 124ページですね。Everybody with me? 124
No, we already did this.
Oh, we did that one already? インターネットしますか？あ、大体何時半ぐらいしますか？ Okay, so we finished that one? Okay, so we're up to the まとめの練習. Perfect. Okay. So the first example, the first set is asking how frequently people did certain things when they were a child or when they were in high school. Okay, so does everybody understand these phrases, 子供の時 and 高校の時? So talking about your own past, when you were a child or when you were a high school student, okay, when you were in high school. Everybody get that? So, and then of course, since we're talking about the past, it's going to be a past tense question. Now, if you're still in high school, just pretend you've already graduated so that we can keep this as a past tense exercise, okay? Hi.
Which exercise are we looking at?
Part A of the matome.
Okay.
Roman numeral 7.
Yeah, Roman numeral 7 in this chapter. Yeah, so matome no renshu, which is the perfect thing for us to be doing today because it is
It's the day.
almost our last class before final. So we've got today and Thursday, and the OPI is going to be after class on Thursday, so we got to rehearse for the OPI. And so this is asking about the past, okay? And then we're going to also have some more questions in part B, and then a schedule game with part C. Really trying to figure out who's got what free slots in their schedule. Okay, so let's see, who wants to start by reading the example, part A and part B? Okay, Sveta and Sierra, you want to read B? Okay, Sveta's going to read A. 子供の時.
Oh,
We're over here.
oh, sorry, that was like, okay. 子供の
子供の時.
sorry, 子供の時, what's the slash?
You've got a choice, either
Oh.
子供の時 or 高校の時.
Oh,
And then-
子供の時,
よく
よく
本
を
yeah 本を
読みましたか。
読みましたか Okay, and then Sierra-san?
はい、よく読みました。
Okay, and if you wanted to say no, that you didn't read a lot as a kid?
いえ、あまり読みませんでした。
はい。Okay, so that's the model for how this is going to work, right? Okay, so Sierra-san, 1番、荒木さんに聞いてください。
勉強します。
Okay, okay, 勉強しました。Okay, so put the whole thing together.
Is it a question?
Well, they're giving you the prompt, and they want you to form a question like Part A was. So you choose either kodomo no toki or kouhou no toki, and you choose which frequency adverb you want to use, one of the positive ones, like mainichi or yoku, and then benkyou shimashita ka, and then he's going to answer with a positive or a negative.
Okay. ここの時よく勉強しましたか。
There you go. 子供の時よく勉強しましたか？
いいえ、あまり勉強します。いいえ、あまり勉強します。勉強します。
The model's there if you need to look at it.
いいえ、あまり勉強しませんでした。
There you go. はい、いいですね。Okay. Everybody's rusty from the Thanksgiving break, huh?
Especially me.
Yeah.
はい。
じゃあ、荒木さんと、アンドレアさん、2番。
はい、高校の時よくso よく and then followed by the verb.
Well, the whole phrase there. スポーツをしましたか？
Okay. 高校の時よくスポーツをand I conjugate that to
Yeah. That's a positive question.
Right, so 高校の時よくスポーツをしましたか？
しましたか？
しましたか？
はい。
はい。よくスポーツをしました。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ3問どうぞ。
子供の時よく映画を見ましたか？
はい、いいですね。
はい。よく映画を見ました。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ4番。
子供の時公園に
よく use a frequency adverb
よ
first.
く公園に行きましたか？
はい、よく行きました。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ5番どうぞ。
高校の時よく手紙を書きましたか？
いいえ、あまり手紙を書きませんでしたか？
はい。
でした。
はい、書きませんでした。はい。いいですね。 じゃあ6番どうぞ。
高校の時よくデートをしましたか？
デート What suru change to?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
しました。
There you go.
What was Suru again?
To do, but deito suru is the expression in Japanese for going on dates. We don't use the verb go in Japanese, you use suru.
Okay.
So you go on a lot of dates in high school, I think was the question, right? 高校の時よくデートをしましたか？
いあまりやよにのwrong one.
あまり
デートをto
What's suru change to?
すま
No, it's irregular, so it's she.
しませんでした。
はい、しませんでした。はい、いいですね。いいですか? Any questions about those? Okay, I know everybody's rusty, but you did it.
Barely.
We made it through. Okay, so now we've got some more sort of open-ended questions. So you're just going to read whichever question is your turn to read, and the next person will answer it. So Sveta-san, you get to start with ichiban.
毎日何時に起きませんか？
起き
ますか？
はい、何時に起きますか?
Is it just asking what time it is? I don't
No, 毎日 means, what's 毎日?
Every day.
Every day. 何時に起きますか? What time do you wake up? Okay, so daily, what time do you wake up? Like usually.
Trying to remember to say 8.
Okay. What's the word for 8?
Hachi?
Anybody? Hachi, there you go.
8時半 So I'd say go. Is that not to do?
You could do goro if you want to. 8時半頃, around 8:30.
8時半ごろ
What's the verb again?
What am I? 起き
はい、起きます。So, 8時半頃起きます. And if you wanted to say usually, because maybe there are some days when you sleep in later than that or have to get up earlier than that. So if you wanted to qualify that with taite, that's usually. So
Say that first.
it's another one of those frequency adverbs. So you could put that first if you wanted to. So taite, 8時半頃起きます. So that's another alternative. Okay, じゃあ2番. Oh, and there's your taite right there in the question. 2番.
大抵何時半
何時間?
Okay. ぐらい寝ますか？
はい. And everybody remembers what jikan is, right? Hours. So it's asking usually how many hours approximately do you sleep? So how many hours do you usually sleep?
8時間ぐらい寝ます。
はい。8時間ぐらい寝ます。いいですね。じゃあ3番どうぞ。
毎日何時間勉強しますか？
大抵4時間勉強します。
はい。いいですね。
よく誰といるご飯
Dare again?
Dare is who. So dare to would be,
Who do you eat lunch with?
yes, exactly. Yoku dare to hiru gohan o tabemasu ka? Who do you often eat lunch with?
How do you say alone?
With myself.
Yeah. Hitori de. So.
You don't need a to
You don't need a
with
to?
hitori de.
Hitori de. Hiru gohan o tabemasu.
はい、いいですね。So 一人で the de in 一人で takes the place of the to. 一人で is,
Okay.
the hitori part is alone, and the de is like by oneself. That's what it changes it from alone to by oneself. Okay, so, and again, if you wanted to add a frequency adverb to qualify that, you could say something like 大抵一人で食べます. I usually eat alone, but of course there are exceptions, right?
Yep.
So that's, you know, just another way to kind of make it that much more realistic to add that. Okay, 次どうぞ。5番ですね。
よく友達にメール
メール。
をしますか？
時々します。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ6番どうぞ。
先週スポーツをしましたか？
いえ、スポーツをしませんでした。
はい、いいですね。7番どうぞ。
昨日どこで晩ご飯を食べましたか？
Where is it?
食べました is ate. So 昨日 means what? What's 昨日? Anybody?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. どこで would be where, at what place. 晩 so 昨日どこで yesterday at what place. 晩ご飯 what's 晩ご飯? You've got
Eat
朝
lunch.
ごはん
Eat meal.
昼ごはん晩ごはん
Dinner.
Dinner, there you go. 晩ごはんを食べましたか? So where did you eat dinner yesterday?
I forgot the orders, I need to review them. Place, restaurante, or
Just restaurant de, and then you could put in晩ごはんを食べました. Past tense, right? 食べました. Okay? いいですね。じゃあ8番どうぞ。先週 Yeah, 写真
を撮りましたか?
Okay, so what's that asking? Oh no. Okay, what's 先週? 先週 last week, right? Okay, 先週写真
Picture.
picture, okay. をたくさん what's たくさん? Many, a lot. 撮りましたか? What's 撮りました? 撮ります.
Picture.
To take.
Probably.
Yeah, to take pictures. So, okay.
I take a lot of pictures.
Did you take a lot of pictures
Last week.
last week?
Yeah. What do I stick in there?
Yeah, good. いえ、あまり, and then the verb is enough. You don't have to stick anything else in. fine. If you wanted to stick in the 写真を you could. いいえ、あまり写真を撮りませんでした。But in all of these, if you choose to leave out the direct object,
Still work.
it still works as long as you don't stick in an object marker without a direct object with it. Okay, so don't just randomly stick the O in there just because you're used to it being near the verb. Make sure that if you're sticking the O in there, it's because there's a direct object to go with the O, right? And if you're going to leave out the direct object, leave out the marker with it. Make sense? Okay. じゃあ9番どうぞ。
Okay. 昨日は何曜日でしたか？
はい、何曜日でしたか？昨日は何曜日でしたか？
So yesterday, what day of the week was it?
Exactly.
昨日は月曜日でした。
はい、そうですね。Everybody get that one? Yay, so you know your days of the week. Okay, any questions about those? Okay.
To review.
Yeah, so these are all good practice questions to practice with, and you can take these as a sort of jumping off point and invent your own questions, since that's going to be one part of the OPI. We've got a schedule activity like the one we're about to do. We've got a directions piece where you're asking people, you know, things like 大学はどこですか? And your map won't have a 大学 marked on it, and the other person has where a 大学 is, and they're going to tell you, you know, bus day no mae desu, or whatever. It's in front of the bus stop, and then you have to look on your map and find, okay, there's the bus stop, so this one must be 大学. And you're going to mark. So for example, if you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things to ask about, and your friend has 5 different things to ask about, all you have to do on your paper is you're going to mark like a number 1 where they tell you the number 1 location was, and number 2 is going to be marked, and I'm going to actually collect those little papers as part of the OPI, and check everyone's comprehension,
Okay.
as well as their ability to ask the question. So while you're asking and answering,
Sign
I'll be
language.
grading your verbal skills, but I'm also going to be checking comprehension by having you actually mark down on the piece of paper where your friend described. So it's listening comprehension. Your friend says, oh, bus day wa suba no mae desu. And on your map that doesn't even have a bus day marked, let's say that was number 3, you're going to put a little 3 where she said the bus day was. You know, make sense?
Sure.
I remember when you did that when one of the other ones, and I'm just like, forget how to spell this.
Yeah. Well, this time they're numbered,
Yeah.
so all you have to do is, let's see, it might give you, for example, post office in English. Let's say that's number 2. Okay, so you have to look at post office number 2 and be able to remember, okay, that's Yubin Kyoku. And then ask your partner, Yubin Kyoku wa doko desu ka? And then they're going to tell you something like, Hoteru no tonari desu, or something. And hopefully there's only one side available next to the hotel, so you'll put your number 2 on that building.
Will places like Yubin Kyoku be in kanji or hiragana?
If it's got kanji, it'll have the furigana also, but it's awfully small print, so if you want to bring a magnifying glass, you may. You know, the only thing that saves me with this book is the fact that I already know those kanji, because the furigana is so tiny that half the time my eyes can't make it out anymore. So, yeah, it's probably time for a new prescription, but anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're looking at the pair work activity now. So this example, you've got A schedule and B's schedule. Okay, so one person's gonna be asking, hey, you wanna play badminton? And B says, sure. And A says, how about Monday? And B says, I have to do something else on Monday. What about Tuesday? And A says, I'm busy on Tuesday, and blah, blah, blah. So it keeps going. This is one of those where, as part of the OPI, every exchange counts as a line, kind of. So, you know, if you say, I'm busy on Tuesday, how about Wednesday? And your friend answers, Wednesday works for me. That was one number on my list of questions, okay? We're aiming for 10 exchanges. So when you ask your partner where the post office is and they tell you, that's one. When you ask, are you free on Wednesday? No, I'm not free on Wednesday. How's Thursday? That's 2. You see what I'm saying?
Prolong it.
Yeah.
These guys don't have anything. At some point, you have to like agree and then pick a time too.
Yeah.
Right, so eventually, the goal here is to eventually pick a time when you can
Hang out.
make time to hang out and play badminton. And if you've got something that's an evening activity, for example, dinner at a friend's house, maybe you can make it for earlier in the day, that same day, if the other person likes that idea, you know? So there's some leeway, but everybody, the way they've got it, it's a very full schedule, so everybody's gonna have to negotiate how they wanna make this work, right? So, I'm gonna say, let's practice a little bit as a class, and then I'm gonna give you guys a chance to practice in partners, and we're gonna end up with one group of 3. So you just, because we were missing a person. It's gonna be, it should be even numbers for the OPI, but we're missing one person today. So,
Someone else? You can always get someone to come in at the OPI if
right.
she's not here.
Well, and my other class is actually,
I thought there was one more.
it
It was uneven.
yeah, my other class is uneven, so,
We'll see.
anyway. So, which reminds me, okay, how about if, let's try it this way. How about if you guys pair off and start practicing while I get out the OPI sheet, because we also need to schedule stuff. So let me get that out while you guys practice. Who wants to be a group of 3?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, the 3 boys here, okay, and then you 2 and you 2, does that work? Okay.
I don't remember what
I know, that's what we were doing the whole time.
I should try to get the homework done this week.
Oh, I'm doing it this week.
Yeah.
I'm not doing next week. The next week I'm gonna be focusing on.
Because I can do both.
At least it's not till Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah, these are good.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. It makes
But
it show
don't-
Or
that means,
No? Oh, yeah, that probably means yes.
see what does E
土曜日、そうですね。
日曜日は
So let's talk about the kanji for a little bit, okay? So, are there any questions about how to read and write the kanji? We've gone over them multiple times, but are there still questions about how to write any of them or how to read any of them in the combinations we've been working with?
Yeah. That's good.
Okay.
99.
Hi.
It's all on this list, but can you do the stroke order for the kanji for
Between?
hour and what non?
Okay, non is not required yet, but the
But it
G,
helped them so much.
yeah.
I was interested.
Okay, well, yeah, just real quick then. So G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so, and directionality is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the previous chapter, I believe, so you can look back at it as well. The non. That. Again, it's your typical person radical, and then that one, and then a typical box, and then the final hook.
Okay.
We don't actually get to that kanji till chapter 8.
I know, I don't
That's
know why
weird.
they take that long to teach that one, because it's a simple kanji that shows up zillions of times. But it's one of those where, you know, if you like knowing kanji ahead of time and just in general learning more kanji than what's required, that's a good one to pick up. It's just relatively simple. And then it's one less to learn when you get to chapter 8. Okay, so that, okay, so again, the basic stroke order rules are generally left to right, top to bottom, center before two symmetrical sides. With a box, it's always going to be the left vertical, then the top and the right as one piece. Anything that's inside the box next, and then close the box finally.
Except Mon is funny. Because it does the one that's slightly under it. But, yeah.
Which one?
Oh,
is
That one. 'cause
Oh,
the
Han.
Funny hook.
Oh, mon is
Mon and
different, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. The number mon, yeah, mon is different. 'Cause it's 1, 2, 3, yeah. Some of the, there are exceptions. There are some that just follow slightly different stroke order than what you expect, which is why they also do show it to you in your textbook. Did everybody see that? That the stroke order rules are shown in very small print underneath? That they're showing you which line comes when. They're not showing you the direction of the stroke, unfortunately. I wish they would. I wish they would put like, all they would have had to do is make like the top piece of the stroke, the first starting point, red instead of black or something. If they could have just done,
A lot of color.
Isn't
print.
everything in
Oh,
black
or
and
even-
white anyway?
what's that? Yeah, well, the whole book is black and
Yeah.
white, but
But they
yeah,
could've put,
even
like,
if
a
they had
dot or,
just
like-
done like a white dot at the starting point or something, they could have shown you where the start point for each line was.
Oh, that's what you are for.
Yeah. Well, and I think that they forget, sometimes because this book was entirely done by native speakers, there were no non-native speakers on the team. I think they forget sometimes that certain things are not obvious to the non-native learner.
Or maybe they
Yeah.
talked about it in the introduction. reduction or something.
Well,
but yeah.
but there are cases where it's counter to what you would have expected. But for the most part, like even on the yobi, if you look at it, all of these lines that are vertical are top to bottom, and all of the lines that are horizontal are left to right. So the rules hold, right?
Yeah.
And so if you go in the order that they're showing you, they're all going to be correct if you do top to bottom and left to right. There are very few exceptions where something comes up from the bottom. And usually if it's coming up from the bottom, it'll be some kind of a hook, like the bottom part of a sheet, like that. That's about the only time you're going to have a line that comes up from the bottom. Okay? So for the most part, you can use that stroke order thing and figure out the direction based on top to bottom, left to right. Okay? So that's a good resource to have and to pay attention to. You'll also note, I hope, that for the most part, the ones that you guys need to know for the test are the gray highlighted combinations. They show others that are sort of FYI, but they're not expecting you to know those compounds in kanji yet because some part of the compound is a kanji we have not yet studied. So for example, you don't have to write Chugoku or Chugaku, junior high, or China or junior high. You don't have to write those in kanji yet because we don't know the second kanji in those two compounds. But Naka, they want you to write in kanji. Make sense? Mizu and Sui, they want you to write both of those in kanji because we know Sui from Suiyobi, and we know Mizu as a standalone vocabulary word. But they are not asking you to write Suie, swimming, in kanji. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So we've got the days of the week. We've got hitoride, and konohito, and nihonjin, and hon, and nihon, ue, shita, naka, the han in times like sanjihan, gojihan, etc. And they're not expecting you to do standalone versions of most of the days of the week kanji. The exceptions being mizu and the gatsu readings for the days of the for the names of the months, ichigatsu, nigatsu, sangatsu, and so forth. You know the numbers and you know the kanji for gatsu, so you should be able to write the months of the year. And by the same token, you should be able to write the dates, even though we're not learning the pronunciations for them yet. So like Niju Go Nichi, for example, is the 25th of the month. You know how to write Niju Go. You know how to write the Nichi that's in Nichiobi. It's that same one. So you can write the dates. Some of them are weird pronunciations, so we're not worrying about that right now. That's kind of supplementary information. If you really want to know the pronunciations of all the dates, 1 through 31, it's in the useful expressions at the end of this chapter. But that's, for now, it's more there as FYI and as a reference in case you need it, but they're not requiring that you memorize all those yet. Okay, that's going to come up again in a later chapter, and we'll revisit it, and then you'll be asked to memorize them at that point. Okay? But you've got, if you look at Hyaku Miju Nanapeiji, you've got this whole reference sheet for useful expressions that includes all the dates for the month. It shows you the days of the week. It shows you the names of all the months, including the ones that require you to pay attention to which version of the number is necessary, like shigatsu and shichigatsu, and kugatsu. And it also gives you day, week, month, and year expressions for today, tomorrow, yesterday, day after tomorrow, day before yesterday, and equivalents for week, month, and year. And you'll notice that there are idioms for that in Japanese where we might have to have a whole phrase for like the year before last, but Japanese has ototoshi. It's just a word for that instead of a whole phrase for it.
Do they put the days before the month, or like what order
Oh,
would you?
the word order for dates is always largest to smallest, so year, then month, then date. Okay, so not the European way and not the American way. The Asian way. Most Asian countries do year, then month, then date. Okay, so if you see like 5-7 in Japanese, that's probably May 7th.
Unless it's 2005. No.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So it's probably month, then date, which that part is like American style, not European style.
Makes sense to me.
But they do the year first. So, you know, if you're talking about, you know, what year somebody was born, and it's like 1995, it would be 1995 gonen, and then say their birthday's, I don't know, January 1st, ichigatsu, and then tsuitachi is how you pronounce the first of the month. Okay, so if there are no questions about the individual kanji, let's look at the kanji practice. Kanji no renshu. Hi.
Well, there is one. I find myself writing mizu wrong because I think to go left to right, but it's not like that.
Okay,
It's not
so mizu follows that rule of the center before the two sides, even though they're not truly symmetrical. So you do the bottom, the center line with the hook first, okay, and then the left hand side is actually a hooked line or a bent line, similar to a katakana fu. That's a way to think of it to get the right shape to it, okay? And then this one's a slash down, and then this one is a slash that way. Okay, so that's what a lot of people don't realize. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So your stroke order, and that's a little bit sloppy because I was kind of exaggerating the moves, but so you can see that the two sides are not the same. The left side of mizu is actually one piece, and the right side of mizu is two separate lines. Okay? So does that help a little bit? Because that one is a little bit weird, but when you get the stroke order correct, it also helps distinguish it from the ka, which, you know, let's see if they do the stroke order that I learned in Chinese, because, yeah, they do it that same way. Okay, so 'cause that's the other one that's very counterintuitive, because it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So you've actually got 1, 2, kind of like you're doing a katakana so almost. Okay, and then hito, person, through the center. Okay, so that's exactly the opposite of the normal stroke order rule, because it's supposed to be center first before the two sides, but ka actually breaks the rule completely and does the two sides first and then through the center.
Yeah, because I would assume it would be
You would have expected to do the hito first and then the two dots, and it's the reverse of that. So there are obviously some oddballs and some exceptions. And you will get people who say, I don't care what the official stroke order is, I do it my way. But, you know, it's hard to make an argument for that when you're a non-native speaker. I mean, if your native language, for example, is Chinese and you're totally literate and fluent in Chinese and you can write thousands of Chinese characters, then you can kind of make a case for, well, I know Japanese stroke order does it differently, but it's the same character, so I'm going to keep writing it the way I learned it in school, because it's hard to break that habit after a lifetime.
Yeah.
But if you're learning it from scratch, you can't really make that argument.
Learned it wrong.
Might as well do it right one.
Yeah, you might as well learn it the right way from the start.
It
and-
annoys me when people write an F from the top in English, you know?
Oh,
So that's kind of weird. Because I do it the other way.
See, actually, that annoys me. I'm like, how, ugh,
yeah.
it's so counterintuitive.
So anyway,
Put-
so we're running out of time,
Yeah, they
but
go like that.
did everybody read the paragraph yet?
What paragraph?
There's actually two. There's a little memo in handwritten style, and then there's a paragraph, and it's actually a few paragraphs, short paragraphs, in the reading passage. Those are fair game for the reading comprehension part of your final. So I want you to make sure you read both of those and answer the questions about them, do the activities about them, do your writing practice activity, okay, do your kanji practice where you're inserting the correct kanji in the blank and all of that kind of stuff, okay? On Thursday, since we're out of time, on Thursday we're gonna rehearse a little bit more for the OPI, but we're also gonna spend some time on the kanji stuff, but come having read it, okay? And if you've got any questions about individual sentences in the paragraph, we can specifically talk about those if you didn't understand something. If you understood it fully, we don't have to worry about reading every line, okay? Because I want to make sure you really understand those, since there is going to be a reading passage on the final, and they're getting longer, right? So you want to be able to understand it. And the one that's in handwritten style, some people find that handwriting hard to read. It's very typical native speaker handwriting though, so I want you to get used to it. Okay? So we're done for today unless somebody else has a question.
So which ones do we have to do here? So this paragraph here. on
Basically, all that kanji section, it's 2 full pages of kanji practice. Match the days of the week. It's all part of the homework.
Okay,
These
so-
2 pages are all part of the homework, so
Alright.
please try to do them by Thursday, so then you come in, and if you have any trouble with any part of that homework, you'll have already tried it, so then you can ask me about it, because Thursday's kind of your last chance to ask me for help with that.
Yeah.
Same thing with any of the workbook homework. Anything in the workbook that you're struggling with, the listening part, the writing parts, any of it, Thursday's your last chance to ask me questions about the workbook, okay? And that's all homework too, okay? Yeah, ganbatte.
Okay, thank you.